Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Masterton, and today I'll be presenting on the film The Edge of 17 and focusing on how it connects to Brenner's ecological perspective on human development. The film follows Nadine, who is a 17-year-old girl who feels misunderstood and overwhelmed while navigating adolescence. Her father passes away when she is 13 years old, which deeply affects her emotionally and changes her relationships and family dynamics. Her relationship with her brother is tense because he's popular, but he also tends to be favored by their mother, which again creates conflict within the family system. Nadine also has her best friend Krista, who becomes her sole support throughout the movie until she starts dating Darian, in which makes Nadine feel um, rejected and isolated. And then Mr. Brenner becomes one of the few stable adults in her life. He is Nadine's history teacher. He forms an unexpected and important connection with Nadine throughout the movie. Brenner's ecological perspective on human development. I just want to read a quote from our adolescence textbook. So on page 6, according to the ecological perspective on human development, whose main proponent was Yuri Brenner, we cannot understand development without examining the environment in which it occurs. It demonstrates how adolescents are shaped by multiple layers of influence. Brenner's model helps us understand Nadine by breaking these layers into different systems. Like if you're looking at this model, this is a layer, this is a layer, this is a layer, and they're all close together and they can all be interconnected. The 5 layers of environment that impact individuals include microsystems, which are your close relationships, including individuals like your mom, your neighbor, your brother, your teachers. You have your mesosystems, which is talking about how your microsystems interact. So your mesosystems, so how does your mom and your teacher interact? That is your mesosystems. Your exosystems are talking about indirect forces. So is your mom coming home stressed from work and then taking it out on your family? That is your exosystem. That is indirectly impacting you. Your macrosystem is talking about your cultural values, your social norms. So things like social media usage, gender roles. That's all your macrosystem. And then your chronosystem is life transitions or your changes throughout your lifetime. So, for example, Nadine, when her father passed away, throughout her lifetime, having her father and not having her father, that is the chronosystem. Now, your microsystems, again, Nadine's microsystems include her mom, her brother, her dad, um, and then also her best friend Krista, her friend slash boyfriend Erwin later in the movie, and also Nick, who is an individual that she has a crush on and interacts with throughout the movie. And then you have your school, which is Mr. Brenner, your teacher. These close relations directly shape her daily experiences and emotional reactions. Again, so you got your family, school, peers, childcare, neighborhood. All right, your mesosystems is how your microsystems interact. So the mesosystem focuses on how relationships connect. The biggest example is when Krista, so the friend group or the peer group, and Darian, the family group, start dating, which affects Nadine's home life and friendships at the same time. Another example is when Mr. Brenner is brought into Nadine's home issues. So you got your school group and your family group intertwining, which this interaction brings more stress and confusion to her. And then you have your exosystem. So the exosystem includes influences Nadine doesn't take part in directly, but it can still impact her. So like her mom's job is demanding and stressful, and it trickles down into how she treats her daughter. Um, and then the pressure on Darian to act like the man of the house after her father passes away. Or also even just Dean's popularity and Nadine's constant comparison to him is an example of the exosystem and indirect influences. Your macro system includes broader cultural values. Nadine struggles with school norms like popularity, appearance, social status. Um, she also notices gender expectations. So throughout the film, Nadine is kind of seen as overly emotional and criticized for feeling too much, while Darian bottles everything up and feels like he cannot talk about his feelings. That is a gender cultural impact. And using social media as a way to further romantic interest, this is when Nadine messages Nick on Facebook because that is just what teenagers do when they have a crush on someone. They reach out to them through social media, which is showing the macro system. All right, your chrono system illustrates life changes over time. Nadine's father's death was the biggest turning point, which reshaped her family and emotional development. Across the film, relationships just shift. So Krista being her best friend to like someone she's not talking to, Darian being her popular older brother to someone she sees as more down to earth, and then Erwin being just a peer, and then her boyfriend, and then Mr. Brunner being kind of just like this sarcastic, uninvolved individual into a really caring and soft person. And then her mental health progression from depression to finding understanding. There's a point when Darian and Krista start dating that she gets really depressed and she isolates. And then later in the film, she accepts, like, there's nothing I can do about this. Why can't I just be cordial? That's your karma system. So, portrayals of adolescence. How were adolescents portrayed in the film? They're kind of just portrayed as emotional, self conscious, impulsive. Nadine's insecurity, intense reactions in relationships, struggles, honestly just all reflects common challenges in adolescence. Her complicated friendships and family conflicts and romantic confusion highlight how overwhelming social dynamics can feel during this stage. Um, are the portrayals of adolescence realistic or are they exaggerated? Some realistic depictions of anxiety, loneliness, and awkwardness, emotional swings. Um, these portrayals feel realistic, although some of them um, feels a bit dramatized for the movie. It is a drama comedy movie. So some of Nadine's emotional outbursts you can tell is for the comedy aspect or the dramatic aspect. The portrayal still feels pretty modern. It was released in 2016, so it shows Nadine using social media to reach out to her crush and like Facebook stalking him. And although Facebook is kind of outdated, I would say teenagers still do that on other social media platforms. Um, and then you have are adolescents portrayed negatively or positively? I think they were portrayed as both positive and negative. So Nadine especially showed resilience and growth when she accepted Krista back into her life. She showed authentic emotions of being upset. She demonstrated creativity and talent. She was funny. She was a good storyteller. Her boyfriend, Erwin, was a filmmaker. Negative, she did make some pretty impulsive and poor decisions when messaging her crush. She had intense mood swings relating her feeling isolated from her family and her friend. And she avoided that confrontation after Krista picked Darian over Nadine. She just kind of kept to herself and went in a downward sabotaging spiral. Are the portrayals fitting for adolescents? I would say many of the portrayals, such as friendship conflict, inadequate feelings of belonging, identity struggles, were all um, pretty universal for adolescents. But I will say that there were some specific subgroups. This was coming from a white suburban middle class teen perspective. Not everyone has access to social media or revolves around social media. Um, and then you also have Nadine's personal circumstances, like dealing with the loss of a parent and depression and potential family instability. Not all teens go through that. So that again is just another subgroup. Um, But in conclusion, the Edge of 17 just kind of shows how Brenner's ecological systems interact in shaping adolescent development. Nadine's relationships, her school environment, her community, her cultural norms, and major life events all influence her behavior and emotional growth. The film captures both the challenges and strengths of adolescence, making her experience both unique and highly relatable. Um, thank you so much for listening.